from attacks from the Gaza Strip. Due to the terrorist Hamas, in the last year, hundreds of rockets have been fired at the city. Terrorism is also supported by Iran. The enmity to Iran has become. I also want to welcome you quite cordially. I want to refer the greetings from Temple of Schöneberg. I am the mayor of this district in Berlin. More than 800 people with Iranian roots live in Temple of Schöneberg. I am very happy. We are a very open and transparent district. Of course, we wish that all this be the same case. Dear esteemed guests, honorary guests from international countries and from Germany, dear Ms. Rajavi, dear participants, whoever reinforces women reinforces the world. That is the motto under which the UN Women, the Institute for Equality Among the Genders of the United Nations, dear friends, 14 years ago, I saw courageous women and men from Iran, and I became acquainted with them in Iraq. People who practiced and who won tolerance and equality.
Salam Iran.
Salam Iran.
Salam Ashraf.
Salam Ashraf. Salam Liberty. As the president of the German Committee for Free Iran, I welcome the elected president of the National Council, Ms. Rajavi. A cordial welcome. Dear Ms. Rajavi, dear prisoners, dear unfree inhabitants of Camp Liberty, we are by your side. We are thinking of all those in Iran, women and men alike, but what is very important, we have listened to a speech by a human rights activist. She has been fighting since 19...
به همه شما درود می‌فرستم. در آستانه روز جهانی زن، گرمترین درودهایمان نثار زنانی که برای آرمان برابری به پا خواستند، از خود گذشتند، راه را برای دیگران گشودند و عصر تازه‌ای را در جهان بشری نوید دادند. جهان ما در 2 قرن گذشته بارها از جنبش‌های برابری طلبانه زنان به اوج رسیده است. از جنبش‌های بزرگ زنان برای حق رأی و حق انتخاب شدن، تلاش برای کسب حقوق و آزادی‌های فردی از جمله حق تحصیل، حق مالکیت، حق طلاق، حق ارث، حق دستمزد برابر و افزایش سهم زنان در سیاست و اقتصاد تا مبارزات فداکارانه زنان در جنبش‌های آزادی بخش و ضد استبدادی. اما متاسفانه پیشروی آرمان برابری امروز با دیوار قطوری مواجه شده که بنیادگرایی اسلامی است. نیرویی که اگرچه با نسل‌کشی، تروریسم و اشاعه تبعیض تمام منطقه و جهان را به خطر انداخته، اما بیش از همه با زنان دشمنی دارد. به همین دلیل امروز در سراسر خاورمیانه روزگار زنان یکسره با ناامنی، سرکوب، آوارگی، کشتار و اسارت آمیخته است و بنیادگرایی فراتر از خاورمیانه کل اروپا و سایر نقاط جهان را تهدید می‌کند. با این همه من می‌خواهم بگویم که راه نجات و پیروزی هست و راه حل وجود دارد. هماورد بنیادگرای اسلامی نیروی زنان است. راه حل در جنبش مقاومتی است که به نیروی زنان و رهبری زنان اعتقاد دارد و این زنان هستند که پیشتاز این نبردند.
I don't want them to think that we're begging for an agreement. If they think we're begging for an agreement, we're going to have a world that's going to go to war. And let me tell you how. In yesterday's New York Times, which I don't usually read, it had a headline. It says, U.S. strategy in Iraq increasingly relying on Iran. U.S. strategy in Iraq increasingly relying on Iran. We lost thousands of young men and women to liberate Iran, and we are turning it to liberate Iraq, and we are turning it over to Iran. What's wrong with us?
It is an evil ideology of Islamic fundamentalism that in fact distorts Islam. It creates a wall around its people. Iran is enslaved behind that wall of fundamentalist ideology. And it enslaves all of the Iranian people, but it especially enslaves the women of Iran, who do not even have the limited rights that their male counterparts have in that society. Women who are the heart of the family, who are the bedrock principle of the family, do not in Iran even have the right to their own children.
This is my third opportunity to speak to this group, and I want to thank Maryam Rajavi for inviting me to be part of it, because I'm always inspired by not just the dynamism of the women here, but the partnership of women and men here who understand what is fundamental to changing society, what Iran needs to be.
Here's what's confounding to me. Having sat in a White House and advised a president of the United States on vulnerabilities and how to protect the American people, it is confounding to me that you would enter into a negotiation on the narrow issue of nuclear capability, as important as that is, without also including those issues so leveraged by a nuclear capability, so undermined by this regime. The notion that we would even enter into a negotiation about providing and permitting a nuclear capability to Iran, when we know very well it is a fact, not in dispute, that Iran is the single largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. You wouldn't want them to have a nuclear capability, any capability at all, in the hands of a regime that tolerates and promotes the use of terrorism as a tool of their foreign policy.
I would like first to pay tribute to the women in Camp Liberty. I think we cannot begin any sentence here today at the eve of the Women's Day without having them in mind. But I'm also here, and I came here because I wanted to protest more than celebrate. I come with a contrite heart, and it's difficult for me to think what I could celebrate in the Women's Day tomorrow. But I want to protest. I want to protest first because I have seen in all the news of all the world the images of Islamic fanatics destroying the art, the ancient cities of Nimrud and of Mesopotamia. I have heard the UNESCO protesting and declaring that this is a war crime. But I have seen nowhere the images that I have seen in YouTube of women sold in cages in the market of Mosul.
I understand what it means to deny my rights just because I'm a woman. I learned in the international documents today, Iranian woman is denied in every aspect of their private and public lives in Iran. Inhuman laws are enforced. For example, women cannot become judges, prosecutors. A woman's testimony is of a man's testimony just because she is a woman.
There is a place just to pass to tomorrow in honor of the Women's Day. It was today with you, Madam. Nobody else, no other place to listen to you was not like usually inspirative, but I do admire the way you're talking about the fight of the women, about democracy, about gender balance. And another time, thank you in the name of all the Europeans. This is my first point. Thank you, Maryam Rajavi. You know, I received a letter, and certainly you received several letters from the medical world about the status of the prisoner of Camp Liberty. And it is impossible not to talk about the conditions of their life there. And first of all, as they are just 2,000 and something, I beg Madame Mogherini, who is in charge of the foreign policy of the European Union, 2,000 and close to 3,000. I ask European Union to receive them strongly, precisely, and we'll write a letter, and I want to sign the letter to Madame Mogherini to do something in order to welcome and to give asylum to all the prisoners of Camp Liberty.
A vast international coalition is presently engaged in a crucial battle against the Islamic State. But we can only win that battle if there is a final victory of freedom and democracy in Iran. An effective response to Sunni and Shia jihadism can only emerge from the Muslim world itself. Those who embrace a tolerant, pluralistic, democratic vision for the society must take the lead. That was a conviction deeply rooted in Maryam Rajavi's political and moral teaching.
My country is a small country, but as was said today, more than 450 people from the Liberty camp are in my country. And believe me, these women and men are a model, and they live in harmony with the community of my country. I wish other countries do the same. Women are these who suffer more from the Islamic fundamentalists.